Hello, good evening, and welcome to The Probe. My name is Carlos Caloni, sitting in for your regular host, MFA Apau. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125, all social media platforms on Joy 99.7 FM and all our affiliates across the country and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Tonight on The Probe, we are asking, is a state of emergency the ultimate cure for the Galamsey crisis? From deploying drones in 2018 to a series of interventions running into millions of dollars, the government has fought this illegal mining menace on multiple fronts. Yet, the menace continues to escalate, and it appears the country is out of options as we speak. Let me refresh your memories with some of the key measures taken by successive governments so far in tackling this Galamsey Menace. And you have that on your screen. You will recall that in 2018, the government implemented a temporary ban on small-scale mining and launched Operation Vanguard. If you recall that, it was a joint military police task force to combat illegal mining. That was in 2017. Then in 2019, Community Mining Scheme, the government introduced that community mining scheme to formalize and regulate small-scale mining while providing alternative livelihoods. But as we speak, Galamsey still persists. Another critical intervention in 2021 was when the government launched the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program to provide sustainable jobs for those affected by the Galamsey crackdown which happened in 2017. And in 2022, with support from the World Bank, the government invested over $100 million into the Ghana landscape restoration and small-scale mining projects with the aim of promoting sustainable mining and environmental restoration. And in 2019, the government did something. It introduced the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2019, Act 995, which increased penalties for illegal mining, including hefty fines and long-term imprisonment. Under this law, any Ghanaian involved in illegal mining will face a minimum of 15 years and a maximum of 25 years in jail, while foreigners face a minimum of 20 years and a maximum of 25 years in prison. So these are just about a few of the interventions government has taken. Yet the reality on the ground remains grim. Now, reports indicate that the situation is actually worsening as we speak. Rivers are being polluted, forest reserves are under siege, and hope is fading fast. Now, the final option on the table is the repeal of LI 2462 and the declaration of a state of emergency. But the question is, will the president, John Dramani Mahama, take that bold step? And if he does, will it be the ultimate solution to end this crisis? Well, when I return, we'll get answers from my guests. Joining me in studio is Professor Nanama Brown Kluche. She is the acting Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority. And Dr. Ken Ashigbe, he's the convener, National Coalition Against Illegal Mining. He'll be joining us on Zoom, as well as my own colleague, Erastus Asari Donko. He's an environmental journalist and he works with us here on Joy News. Stay with us. When we return, we get all the answers for you. This is The Probe. Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on The Probe. Now, let me begin with my colleague Erastus Asari Donko, who has done a lot of work when it comes to this Galamsey situation we are discussing. Things are changing so fast in the forest, and so I want to ask you, what is the current situation in the forest reserves you've visited within the last few weeks?
Thank you very much. Let me say that my team which comprises of a number of stringers across these forest areas. My team in Kumasi, newsroom, and other parts, we've been monitoring what is happening in forests across the country. Sometimes we get volunteers who serve us with drone footages and a number of ground footage as well. Currently, when areas that have been penetrated by illegal miners, and I say illegal miners advisedly, because so far all the invasions in all the forest reserves are illegal.
Of course, yeah.
We know of the people who have applied legally to mine sustainably in this forest. Some of them have been have their licenses delayed for 4 years, 5 years, whilst illegal miners are allowed to invade the forest and mine illegally. We have GSBAs, that's globally biodiversity significant areas that are supposed to be protected forests. Bointano is one such forest that has been invaded. As we speak, the Chinese miners and their Ghanaian collaborators are still there. We have Tano Nimre, Ohiam Penika, that Tano section. We've been monitoring for about close to 3 weeks now. The Chinese miners are still there. Some parts of Tanzania, initially we have 5 groups that invaded the forest. So far, government has been able, through the Forestry Commission and soldiers, been able to drive away 3 of those groups. 2, as at my last check, were still mining within those reserves. That's the Tanzania, certain sections of it. I learned they drove them from compartment 17 and compartment 20 and 21. The other compartments, we still have invasion in there. Now let's talk about the Jimiri forest enclave,
right,
which is close to Nkarie, and precisely that Nkarie, close to the Nkarie district. Now, when I drew the attention, I posted it on my Facebook page, we had soldiers going there. But the nature of which they went in there, 50 excavators, they could not even arrest a single one. All of them have been tracked out within the past 2 days, deposited in certain sections of the area. And at the appropriate time, I'll give you where they have been parked and all that.
50 excavators,
I don't know whether they are waiting for tension to go down, so they come back to mine. There are other forest reserves. If your time will permit me, I could tell you.
Yeah, we're interested. We really want to understand the situation in these forest reserves.
So those are one. We have the Offing Shelter Belt Forest Reserve. Now, I must say that when we drew the attention of government, we blew the whistle. Government sent in soldiers in there to drive them away. The devastation alone, after they have been allowed to mine for weeks, is unimaginable. Apamprama Forest Reserve, already 50% of it is gone. There are still remnants of people who are mining on the fringes of it. And part of it is being reclaimed. And there is a danger that even the reclaimed point, there are people who have attempted to even go into the reclaimed points and destroy it. Let's talk about Asenanyo Forest Reserve. Already, the place was mined and reclaimed. Now it has been given legally to another mining company, and the place has been destroyed again. So, if you look at the kind of invasions that are going on, how swift they are being taken over. And these are illegal miners who are claiming that they have power. Because if you do not have power, Carlos, it will be difficult for you to send one excavator through the forest and enter and even think of mining it.
Right.
Unless you have influential people backing you that are able to call off the forest guards, the rapid response team, tie their hands behind them, and send your equipment in there to mine illegally. And I must say that in the previous administration, this was what happened. And we threw the light on it. We campaigned, we fished out, we put the information out there. We had members of this current administration joining us at that time, demanding a state of emergency. How then does power change and these same people have taken over and they say we should keep quiet now because it's their turn and they have to mine illegally? Why can't we just follow the rules? If we all believe that the laws that we pass as a country, there's a reason behind it, that these are forest reserves, these are biodiversity areas, and that is why some of them are protected, some of them are production forests, and vice versa. Why don't we go by the books? If you want to mine, go for a license, go through the right process, equip the various agencies to monitor your work in the forest reserve, and mine responsibly. Right. Why do we want to go behind it? So now, let me say this.
Okay.
That why is it always that whenever we as a team are able to point this thing out weeks after they have gotten into the forest and they have started mining? What happened to all the agencies that are monitoring and protecting our forests, charged with the protection of forests? What happened to the EPA? If our team can monitor and pinpoint from afar these infractions, what is the EPA, the Minerals Commission, the Forestry Commission, who have been tasked with resources and personnel, not able to detect when the invasion starts, when the excavators start marching into the forest, and wait until some of us point it out? Then there's a firefighting approach. So we go in and intentionally, as if we are fighting it, we allow people to cut their excavators out, wait for some time, they get back in and continue with the destruction.
Right. So Erastus, you are telling us this evening that the situation has not changed from what we were seeing, or we used to see under the Esqual Akufo-Addo administration. Now that John Dramani Mahama is in office, things have not improved?
If things have improved, these are pictures I'm posting on a daily basis for you to see. If things have improved, you will see it.
Right. Okay.
In fact, these are just the forest reserves we're talking about. Go to Japan, Wasa Japan. The people themselves told the team that the minister sent that they are mining illegally. They told us in front of cameras that what we are doing here is illegal, we know, but we have to do it. Okay. And they are mining in the town, close to the main road. And nobody cares. Go to Odumase, Konongo, Odumase, where the recent explosion happened. If that explosion had occurred in the Zongo area, a lot of houses would have come down because people have dug deep beneath houses and they are still digging.
All right. Erastus, hold on for me. Let me bring in Ken Ashigbe. You, last week, you met the minister over these same issues. Have you been able to identify a clear path forward on this matter?
Well, thank you very much. And thanks to the work of Erastus. And before I go on to answer your question, I think it is important that all of us realize that people are beginning to threaten Erastus's life again. And for us, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, tomorrow, we'll be making a formal complaint to the IGP to ensure that they provide the necessary protection for Erastus. And we also want to serve warning to these faceless criminals who are engaging in the ecocide and genocide of our people, that they cannot touch us. We would use all the forces of the state,
right,
including marshalling all the media, the powers that we have in the media, to ensure that we expose them. And their threats are not the ones that are going to stop us. And our resolve is resolute. we are definitely going to come after them. So we had a meeting with the Minister for Land and Natural Resources. It was a very good first meeting. So there's some work that is being done. He spent a lot of the time doing a lot of stakeholder engagement and then also working in some of these forests. And Erastus has mentioned the fact that, some of the places there has been some responses.
Yeah.
So out of the nine forest reserves that are gone, I think they've managed to claim back 4. And some work is happening. But we stated to him that if you look at the gravity of the challenges that confront us, what got to a head in August last year and, continued all the way till the elections and now, and he would admit himself that the people are still in the reserves and on the water bodies.
Right.
They are still mining. So, and he's also had his committee that has done some engagement, and because of the urgency with which he wants to tackle it, he's asked them to give him an interim report that he can start some work on. So some work is happening, but unfortunately, the criminals are still at work and they are still at what they're doing. So the criminal transition that we saw in 2016 and 2017 has happened again. So what you are beginning to see happen is that this time, not only is the NDC criminals taking over from the MPP criminals, you are having even the MPP criminals go to the NDC criminals and say, yes, your party is in power, but I have the equipment, I have people here already. Come and be at the front of it. Take 60%, we would hide behind you with 40%. Right. So these gangs, these people who are wrecking our country are still at work.
Okay.
And we told the minister that the challenge he has to deal with are the politically exposed people who are involved in this. But one of the things I can tell you, walking off that meeting, is that we have a minister who really wants to fight this. The only interesting thing is that he will not tell you that, but he's being fought by people close within his party, and even from not only his party, the MPP as well. The political class are steeped in the middle of this. There is also the Chinese element.
All right.
The Chinese elements are heavy in this, guided by some local people who are involved in it. And not only do we have a major ecocide and genocide, which is destroying our environment, destroying our waters, but we are breeding a deadly national security threat. Now you have a situation where these people have recruited heavily armed men who are armed with very sophisticated weapons and ammunition. And not only are they local, but you have a lot of foreigners, a lot of the people from our neighboring countries who are now the people providing the security. And the danger about that, you need to just go back and look at what happened in Liberia, happened in Sierra Leone, and happened in even the Boko Haram. So you get these people and now they are providing you security and you are paying them out of the gold that has now crossed the 5,000 mark. And so there's a lot of money in it.
All right.
What would happen is that they will now start see that, why don't we ourselves get involved in this? And if you have a situation where 9 of your forest reserve, 9 of the territories of Ghana has been taken over, we all don't want to call it now. So beyond the Galamsey, there's war that is being waged within our territory. So I believe that beyond all the things that the minister is doing, and I think we also need to state that he's working with the Minister for Environment to be able to get the LI repealed. But beyond all of that, we need to reclaim our lands. We need to reclaim our forests. So the state of emergency, which I don't think he agrees with, has to be imposed.
If the state of emergency is one of the things that will actually help us, overcome this crisis.
Yeah, completely. Just look at the pictures that you were showing us. These are people who, in the presence, so there are 2 situations. There's a situation of Ohiming Teria, and then there's a situation of Akwesi from City Channel 1 TV, CTFM.
Yeah.
So in the presence of Ghanaian police, they were still able to beat these two journalists. They were still able to destroy the equipment of these journalists. They were able to wrestle equipment. You see the way there are police people there, but they're still carrying illegal weapons.
Yeah.
So these are not people that we can deal with kid gloves. This is war that has been waged on us.
All right.
So what we need to do as a country is to be able to unleash the full force of our military. We need to get the Air Force involved, flying sorties over these places. We need to get the Navy involved on our water bodies. And we need to be able to get our army on the ground to be able to do this. Because you see, if they are able to take 9 forest reserves because of gold,
right,
and you and I know that gold is exhausted. If the gold gets exhausted, what do you think would happen? Now, what they will do is that they'll start coming to the district. They'll take a particular district, and that district is theirs. And whatever resources are there, they will control it.
So it's a security matter, right?
It is a national security matter.
Okay.
So you have the one prong where your environment, your health is under threat. Then you have the situation where now it's become a national security matter. Not only is it a national security matter, a lot of these opioids that we are talking about, there's a lot of the opioids being consumed in these areas. So these people are a lot of the time, they are hazed, they have taken a lot of the drugs. And you see, so you have the social canker that is also spreading, the environmental canker that is spreading. Then you also have the situation of the national security crisis that we are cooking. And so, and again, Erastus was spot on. The former president agreed with us. The NDC agreed with us with a state of emergency. Right. And I think sometimes, I don't know why, when we talk about state of emergency, it's as if we're asking for a blanket state of emergency to be declared over Ghana. No. Right. You have 9 forest reserves that currently you have taken 4 or 3 out of. The rest of them declare a state of emergency in those forest reserves. Because you see, the forest reserves already, His Excellency, the President, has told us that he's not going to allow mining to get into that place. So once you declare a state of emergency, it's a no-go area. Nobody can go there. So
you're saying that the state of emergency should be limited to the rest 5 that are still under siege, right?
Not only that, all the forest reserves, all our forest reserves, especially those that are globally significant, those that are not production and that work is going on. But then the 9, we need to immediately declare the state of emergency over them.
Right.
And then our water bodies that are under threat, all those water bodies, we should also declare a state of emergency over them. So that once you do that, then you know that you can galvanize the state, the forces of the state to deal with them. Because again, as Erastus will tell you, these people, when you go in there for an operation, they will track their excavators just out of the forest reserves. And when they are out of the forest reserve, the Forestry Commission would not be able to confiscate them. They are just waiting for you to leave. But once you declare the state of emergency, then everybody knows that anybody who goes into those spaces, you can deal with them.
All right.
And once you declare the state of emergency, once you confiscate these excavators, everybody who's been involved in it, you talked about the 2019 amendments that were done. So there should be punishment for the person who imported it, the person who rented it out to the people, and who has rented it. Because you see, these excavators have become weapons of mass destruction. Look at the 7,000 football fields that the minister tells us that have been destroyed. And for every 1 hectare of land that is destroyed, you need $40,000 to be able to restore it. So it is important that His Excellency, the President, realizes the fact that, yes, some good work is being done. But the challenge we have, we need a state of emergency in these particular areas to be able to halt them. And not only that, you have the situations where the Awin MP has been named by his traditional council as being involved in this Galamsey. And we have petitioned the president, he's acknowledged it. But we've not had the president declare openly that some investigation should happen, like he said about the National Service Scheme. Right. You also have the MP, the NDC constituency chairman for, I think, the Axim area, that area being accused by one of the legal mining, large-scale mining firm having trespassed and engaged in Galamsey.
Right.
We are not hearing the president deal with his own.
Do you think the president is committed to this fight? Briefly.
Well, you see, if listening to what the minister tells us, there's a lot of work that the president has asked to be done. But you see, in the particular fight that we're dealing with, not only should the president be doing that, he should also be seen to be doing that. So the same way that the president said that the National Service case should be investigated, what the least we're expecting is for the president to also ask that the investigative bodies should investigate the MP for the Awin MP, should investigate the NDC constituency chairman around the Axim area. There was also an NDC constituency chairperson who also went against these people who had gone in there that he did not know the thing was happening, and he dared stop these people from doing it. All of these things, the president should be seen to be dealing, not only should he deal with them internally, he should announce it publicly and let the people know. You saw that what the minister said when he went to one of the areas, that the president is not going to tell him to stop anything. That is good. The minister had said some positive things. Unfortunately, even in the State of the Nation's address, the president was not forceful on Galamsey. And we've not had the president being decisive as he has been, though his minister is doing same. But it is not, the minister saying so, it's not as strong and does not send the strong message as His Excellency the President himself doing that. All
right, Doc, hold on for me a bit, because I have in studio the EPA acting chief executive in the person of Professor Nanama Brown-Kluche. You heard Doc there. Doc believes that, first of all, before I even come there, you've been in office for some few months now. What is your own assessment of the Galamsey situation?
Thank you very much, Carlos. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
I believe that we are at a war, and the fight against these illegal activities cannot be done by any single institution. In fact, it's bigger than any single institution. So it's not EPA. I would say we are mandated to protect the environment, coordinate all the activities about the environment. But I tell you that our capacity cannot meet up this fight. We can do our best in monitoring, in talking, in charging government, in calling on other institutions, but our capacity, EPA has 777 employees.
Okay.
And looking at the mining site alone, I mean, the illegal mining site alone, it's beyond that. And mining is not the only activities of the EPA. We have several other activities that we are mandated to do. So our capacity alone cannot do this. So we are collaborating with other agencies. So Forestry Commission, for example, they are solely mandated to protect our forests. We have the Minerals Commission we are working with. They also permit the mining for the minerals. Okay. We are working with even Ghana Health Services and Ministry of Health, because this illegal mining activity started as an environmental problem. Eventually, it became a health problem. It's still a health problem. It's a threat to our health because of the chemicals, the heavy metals being used in these activities. Now it's a national security problem because the Forestry Commission are not even able to enter certain forests in the country because we have people who are mining that are armed. We get our people having the Forestry Commission staff being killed. It's not out there yet. But
then, some have been killed?
Yes. It's not out yet, but I'm sure in a due time they will come up with it.
By these illegal miners?
By the illegal miners, because they are armed there, and the Forestry Commission, they have guards, they have forest guards. They are not as armed as these illegal mining areas that they have the men there armed. And the Forestry Commission uses or works with the national security, they work with the military in this kind of fight. And you can see clearly that there are efforts, but it's not meeting up to the illegalities out there. So this is not the fight for any single institution, as I have said.
Okay.
We need the communities to be on board. We need the chiefs and elders in the communities to be on board. And we need all these institutions that are mandated for this fight.
As EPA, have you been able to, you're telling me the forestry officers are not able to go into the forest. How do you carry out your monitoring as EPA then?
So we do the general monitoring, not just for the illegal mining activities or mining activities. So we monitor both the legal to make sure that they are complying to the environmental rules.
Right.
And then, of course, whilst we see an illegal activities, we are also able to charge them and call in the appropriate institutions to act. For example, the national security to act. So those who must face the law, we call on the police to come in,
to take action,
to take arrest and all of that. So we do our monitoring, and as I said, we are 777 employees. We are not even able to monitor every other thing apart from mining, then bringing in this illegal mining activity, which is widespread in the country. Almost every region is
affected in a way.
Affected.
So
in
you
this
need,
illegal
does that
activity.
mean you need to increase your staff strength, for instance, to be effective?
Yeah, definitely. That one for sure. If we really have to fight these illegal activities, that is one. EPA has become an authority since this January.
Right.
And that also gives us a broader mandate and more power to operate, which also means we need more manpower on ground to do our work.
Right. Now, go on. Just
so my point is, even those in the legal mining sector must help with the fight.
In which way?
Because they are in the field. So I'm saying that not one single institution can do this. So
okay,
I was
it's a
on the
collective.
list.
Yeah.
It should be a collective fight. I was on the list talking about community, talking about chiefs and elders, talking about state institutions that are mandated to do this. And then I brought in the legal mining operators as well. They must help with this fight. Plus the small-scale mining associations. Recently, I met with one group at Amancia West, Small Scale Miners Association, listening to them and charging them to help us with a fight of the illegal mining as well. It was interesting how a lot of them do not even know that they are actually in the illegal mining activities themselves. But that was not the conversation. The conversation for me was that, look, we have tried different methods. It's not working. Yeah. We've tried the forcing. It's not working. Now let's dialogue and find a solution to this menace.
So are you sure dialogue is the way to go? Doc is asking or is calling for declaration of state of emergency in those areas. What's your personal position as head of EPA on such calls?
So when I assumed office in my first 1 week, I issued a press statement on mining in our water bodies. Right. That all activities in that category must stop. Because every activity or mining in our water bodies is completely illegal. There's no license is given for any person or group of persons to mine in our water bodies. So it's a no-go area.
Right.
That is one thing I did immediately because we know how much our water bodies have been polluted. Virtually every major river in the country is polluted. So it is a state of emergency for our river bodies. But if in a broader term, looking at this national security threat to our land, to our forests, to our communities, to our staff, to even staff of forestry commission, and every other Ghanaian, this is a threat to us. I will support the fact that the president should declare a state of emergency for the illegal mining activities. For me, I will go for that. It can even start small with the water bodies, because that I see as an emergency, the situation that we have to deal with. I don't know if I'm the only one seeing the water body situation as an emergency, but the whole country, all Ghanaians must also be part of this fight.
Okay, you are much concerned about water pollution, and then you've been to some areas like the Pra River and all that. In terms of cleaning this water, is there any program by the EPA to ensure that at least we're able to clear some of these water bodies so those in those communities can get some to rely on?
Thank you. That is the more reason why we need a state of emergency on these illegal activities, because we are receiving proposals to clean up our water bodies, and it's expensive to clean up the water bodies. Once we clean them up, restore them back to its original states, we cannot continue to entertain illegal activities or mining in our water bodies to continue to pollute them. We are going to use the state's funds, we are going to use taxpayers' money in clearing or restoring back our water bodies. We cannot continue to engage in illegal activities for our water bodies. So declaring the state of emergency is important for all these activities to stop, so we can have the time, the space to clean up our water bodies. And then the president also mentioned we're going to employ water guards to then protect our water for the sustainability of the water bodies.
When do you plan doing that?
So we are currently receiving applications. We've received a number of applications for technologies to clean up our water bodies. What we need to do, as we speak, we don't have our board in place. We work with the minister for everything that we need approval for at the moment, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology at the moment. So we need the board to be in place because it goes beyond my level as an acting chief executive officer to take certain decisions. Once the board is in place, the technical team is reviewing the application. We should be finishing soon. We cannot also, probably we should allow a number of technologies to clean up our water bodies, because we need to kind of do all of these things at the same time. So we don't delay in cleaning up the water bodies to probably allow new pollution, or by the time we finish with one and going into another water body to clean up, the one that we have cleaned is already.
So what is the solution then? Because a critical point.
So for solution, first we need to declare a state of emergency, and then we clean our water bodies, and we must clean all of them about the same time.
All right.
Because we have many river bodies that are polluted. We need to clean all of them at the same time. So if EPA, we have the capacity to do so, we want to clean all our water bodies at the same time, so that we have our water bodies clean. And we are not only cleaning the turbidity, the color, we also need to clean it from heavy metals.
All right.
We have cyanide in there, we have arsenide in there, we have mercury in there, and these are all health threats to our life.
Okay. So supposing the president declares a state of emergency tomorrow and you start the cleaning, how long will it take to clean, maybe say River Pra, for instance?
Yeah. So we have different technologies that we are reviewing to clean our water. Some takes like a day to clean. Some takes like 3 days, yes, to get it all cleaned. As we speak, we have also some of them, it's part of the review process, testing the technologies in our offices and some in the river bodies as well. So maximum 1 week, we should be able to finish cleaning the water bodies with all these technologies coming up. Because some, it's a day, we have some 2 days, some 3 days. So I will put in 1 week, if we have all the facilities in place, because we have travel to go, we have places, we need to start the treatment and all of those things. Once this technical work is done and we start applying the technologies, in 1 week we should have all our water bodies clean.
So it's not going to take a longer time, but the key point is for state of emergency to be declared.
We need that.
All right.
Especially now that the activities are still going on, even upon issuance of statements or press statements on people should cease activities on water body. These activities are still going on. Military men have gone in there severally to different places. It's still happening. I have gone to witness a number of them, of these legality in our water bodies also happening. So we need that state of emergency, and we need to probably double up efforts, especially in terms of the security men on site.
All right.
I would approach this in a rather radical way, which I'm not.
Oh, you are for the radical approach.
Which I would not be able to say on set, because I said it in a meeting with the president, and then he gave a smile, and I'm like, this is a serious issue, Mr. President. And the president will not entertain anybody who we actually arrest doing this in our water bodies, these illegal activities in our water bodies.
Okay. Hold on for me. Let me come to Erastus. Erastus, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right. So the acting chief executive is supporting the call for radical approach in terms of state of emergency. From where you sit, would that solve the problem?
That's what we have requested along all these years. And Kufuado, that is what we requested, and he never listened to us. Because if you treat the current problem with case gloves, like we are doing now, we touch it here, we go, we touch it there, we go, you will never achieve any success. For example, I disagree with the president directive that if you find excavators in a forest reserve, a biodiversity area, you should seize them. I think we should ban them.
Oh, really?
We don't have to. Yes, we don't have to seize, especially in forest reserves. And especially along water bodies, where they are washing directly into a major river like Ankubra. You don't seize that equipment, take it to the nearest assembly, get people to come and pay bribes and take it back to the same place to mine again. You destroy them, you immobilize them. That's the only language that people understand. And I admire the courage and the tenacity of the acting EPA boss. In fact, I have listened to her on so many occasions. She's just like me. She wants us to go at the problem now and not to wait. And in fact, I think that that is the kind of exuberance that we need at the moment. In fact, the minister, the sector minister, has some very beautiful plans. He has started something. I always say that himself and myself, we disagree on one thing. I want the forest and the environment to be saved now.
Right.
He wants to go through the procedures. You know, take your time, do this, come back again, and do that. I always say that if you give illegal miners 1 day in a forest reserve, the damage is irreparable. And the extent of damage they will wreak on a forest reserve is huge. So every little hour that we waste trying to do this, we are destroying vast quality biodiversity areas of our country. And that should not be entertained.
All right, thank you. Before I go to Dr. Ken Ashigbe, do you agree with Erastus' position that we ban excavators?
So I don't agree with the banning of excavators because I feel it's a resource we can use to do other things. We have many roads in the country that need to be resurfaced, refixed, and all of that. I believe that we can use these excavators, assign them to assemblies to rather use for other works, other than to leave them for people to come back to pay bribe and get them collected. So once we get them, we should rather reassign them to district assemblies for use of road works. Another school of thought is that we should sell them and use the money to reclaim the land.
But in reclaiming the land, you still need these machines.
We need these machines because some of these small-scale mining associations are using these small excavators to reclaim the land. So I have gone to witness some at Amansia West where small-scale mining association have led to reclaim some of the land that have been destroyed through
illegal mining.
Well, mining activity, well, small-scale mining activities, I'll put it this way. So we could use these excavators for good use rather than burning them. But what I'm not for is for the fact that it should be kept and then bribe being paid and they release it back to them. That's I'm against.
Is the president committed to this fight?
The president is committed to this fight. I tell you that since the president assumed office, we've had several meetings all on illegal mining activities. You know our GM, his heart is for the people. So he wants to approach this in a more, should I call it amicable way, which some of us think it should be more radical than what he thinks we should go by. So he formed a committee whose report is ready, and I think this week the report will be submitted to the presidency on the way forward on this.
Okay.
And in all of these things, as Erasmus said, for me, it has to go. We have to go radical.
And
it's not as if we don't have what it takes to go radical. We do have what it takes to go radical.
So what is preventing?
Let me give you one simple example.
Right.
You see a site on the screen now. If you have an airplane, a military airplane, fly there and shoot one or two, will they come back tomorrow? Would they not tell the other people, other miners in other sites that this is the approach and they should flee for their life? They will. So we've had election, which is a democratic election, and we've got 8 people died. Some died without records and all of that. If we are really at a war, can't we do this example for people to scare off the mining site?
Would you be disappointed if the president doesn't declare state of emergency anytime soon?
I'll be disappointed. But then in terms of time, you may want to be sure of, well, I don't know, a legal implication. I'm not a lawyer. And every other implication. So before when human rights issues, maybe before the president declares state of emergency, he needs to be sure, really, what are the implications before probably he comes up with it. But then in terms of the timing, I can't tell you that if, I can't say soon, but I wish that soon. It's done soon.
Right.
But he sits on the hot seat and then he knows what to do. He appreciates all these challenges, and I believe that he will come up with the right message for us to move forward with this fight.
Right. So let me bring in Dr. Ken Ashigbe now. You all seem to agree. Erastus agrees that we need to go radical. Prof also agrees. You also are calling for that. How soon do you... Okay, you've been asking for this for even when the former president was in office. Within what time frame do you want the president, the current president, to act to communicate to the public that he's really committed to this fight?
Okay, so that's yesterday. That one is, the answer is simple. It's yesterday. On the 7th, he got oral to start even before he was running as president. He's late on that. But let me answer that question about the excavators.
Right.
If you read the NRCD 234, the Forestry Protection Act of 1974, and you go to section 1, 4.1, it says a forest officer shall take the necessary steps to prevent the commission of an offense under this act. So when you have an excavator sitting in the theater of a crime, that I agree with Prof with, is a war zone. If you leave that excavator there, somebody would come and use it to commit a crime. So the forestry officer who shall take all necessary steps, and the law does not say burning or immobilizing excavators is proscribed. It says all necessary steps to prevent a commission of a crime. And now let me wear my hat as an engineer. You will find out that these excavators, these people would immobilize it themselves when they find out that the forestry guards are coming. And then you will find out that so if even you bring a low loader to come and move it, you cannot just move it onto, you would need a crane to be able to lift it. And normally the ground on which you will find this to have happened, where it is, the mud and all of that in there, the civil works that you require. So in some cases, it's going to be nearly impossible for the Forestry Commission to be able to move them out immediately. And another thing is that the Forestry Commission, do not have the capacity to be able to fix these excavators once these illegal miners, immobilize them. They don't have the expertise. They don't also have the resources. They normally will not have a low bed with them. They will not have a crane and all of that. So normally they will have to mobilize. The last time they did, the military men had to be in the forest guarding this equipment for 4 nights. So you see, when the president proscribes burning, immobilizing them, what he's doing is that he's empowering these people. One of the things that hits them hard is the $200,000 that they would miss if these excavators are damaged. And then the second bit about this is that, you see, Prof talks about the fact that we can use it to reclaim the destroyed lands. We can use it for roadworks. You will find out that the number of excavators you will require to be able to do that is very limited. And we have too many excavators in this country. So it is important. And again, one solution I would provide, and I hope Prof can follow it up. The previous government did a pilot exercise where they were able to track all of these excavators, track some excavators. They are able to geofence it to the extent that if you want to move them out, they can prevent the excavator from moving. And they can monitor it from a strong room at the Minerals Commission. You know the reason why it was not deployed fully? The NDC, the MPP was not committed to the fight. And so we want His Excellency to demonstrate his commitment by ensuring that this particular pilot is scaled up. And then we should also go in and make sure that if these excavators are equipment of mass destruction, then the importation should be proscribed. Currently, they will not allow you to import, how do you call it, rocket launchers into Ghana. They will not allow you to even import mercury openly into Ghana. So why are we allowing people to import these equipment? And you go into some of these mining areas, these equipment are displayed openly. You know what the minister told me?
You think there should be a ban on the importation of these excavators?
Not a ban, but you make it such a way that before you import it, you need to get the permits. The permits, it should go all the way to the president. And then once you are given the permit, it should be tracked in such a way that if you say you are going to use it for this construction site, you will need to go for a permit to enable us make sure that it works only within those communities and we can see them. And so that we don't allow these equipment. You go into some of these areas where the Galamsey is happening, people are renting them in all places. You have Chinese people who are around who would go and get them all, get people to be able to do it. So let's make sure that we have control over these excavators. The equipment that are used in manufacturing chamfans. What are chamfans used for, apart from destroying our water bodies? And so you want to make sure that you proscribe also those equipment. In the same way, that morphine and coal come into Ghana, and then they are used in the pharmaceutical areas. But before you bring morphine in, the steps you have to go through, it is the same steps. Already we have too many excavators that we need in this country. How many roads are we doing? So it is important that all of that is going to be done. And let me bust the bubble of Prof a bit. So he's going to be able to, some of the technologies will work within a week, some will work within a few days. But in some of those places, the level of civil works that you have to do, because some of these Galamseyers, what they have done is that they have dammed a lot of these water bodies in such a way that they are not even flowing. So there's a lot of civil works, engineering work that you have to do to the water courses to be able to make sure that they are flowing and restore them back to the areas they are before all of these technologies are going to be done. And again, unfortunately, these people who've done all of these minings, they are not giving the EPA one dime. They have not paid them one dime. The EPA is now going to use you and I, monies that we don't have, to be able to do this. So as Prof is pushing ahead to be able to do this, I am supporting Prof. The president needs immediately. There's nothing the president needs to do.
You think the president needs people like Prof, right?
Yes, completely. And I'm happy that, the president appointed somebody like her, who would be able to, is convinced and convicted about what the right thing is and will speak her mind. So immediately the president needs to declare the state of emergency. There are not going to be any human rights abuses if you declare state of emergency in those controlled areas.
Thank you so much. I don't know if Erastus, I have just 1 minute for you to wrap up for us before I come in studio to Prof. Erastus, your final words.
Well, just a brief touch on the excavators. Maybe the acting CEO doesn't know what happens on the ground. On the ground, it's a different ballgame. The excavators always end back where they seize them. And that's why I've recommended that they are immobilized if they are found in forest reserves. I would say that the president has started very well. I agree with many of the things they have started with, because in the previous administration, we did not have that kind of response. But he has to be radical with what he has to do. Things have to be done immediately to save our forests and our water bodies. And enough of the feet dragging, enough of the talking. Let's go out and act now. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Erastus. And the final word to you, Prof. Kluche.
Yeah, thank you very much. So let me put this announcement out. So
in 30 seconds.
Yes, so the EPA will be having a national dialogue, but for the youth on these illegal mining activities. But we term it Galamsey as a dialogue. We want to hear from the youth as well.
When is that happening?
On this issue. It will be in the month of April. I'll come up with the date.
In Accra or in the Galamsey communities?
It will be in Accra.
All right.
It will be in Accra. So, as I said, this is our war. All of us must get in here. And these solutions we are professing now, we are going to use our taxpayers' money in solving them, whilst others are taking the gold and causing this environmental destruction. So it is our war as Ghanaians, and we have to be. All of us must be involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us here in studio. And thank you to you, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, as well as my colleague Erastus Donko. We've been touching on illegal mining menace, and it appears the country is running out of options. And the only option on the table now is for the president to declare state of emergency in this area. Thank you so much for watching. I sat in for your regular host, MFA Apau. We have a lot of stories on myjoyonline.com. My name is Carlos Caloni. Bye-bye.